Hi everyone, my name is Sammy and I'm with the Golden Eagle Orientation team. Thank you for joining us in our session on Brockport Foundation Scholarships. This session will be an hour long and it will include a presentation and time for questions. Please utilize the Q&A box on the right-hand side of your screen to submit questions to our presenters. Please remember that this is a live session. This is a supplemental thing to your online orientation module. The link to your required orientation module has been sent to your Brockport email address, so be sure to check out for that. At the conclusion of this presentation, please complete our feedback form that I will put in the Q&A box to let us know about your experience. All right, I'm going to pass the torch on to Garrett Rowe.
Everybody, welcome. 5 o'clock on a Thursday, everyone's favorite time to talk about scholarships. We're very glad to have you. As Sammy has mentioned, my name is Garrett Rowe. I'm the scholarship coordinator here at the College of Brockport. We'll talk about the various aspects of, there's different scholarships on campus and in particular foundation scholarships. But before we get going too quick here, please let me know where you're from. In the Q&A, put your name in. If you're the Brockport Golden Eagle, put your name in and what hometown you're from. I always love to know where people are from. It's different with having this virtual item. I love seeing people in person, but due to the nature of things, we're working on the virtual aspect. The goal today is to have about a 30-minute presentation, and then we'll have plenty of time for questions and answers. As Sammy had mentioned, or is about to mention at some point here, later on we'll have you put the questions in so that we can respond to them over time. So as you're going along, think of any questions that you have, but of course we have the presentation to help you out with such. So looking at the Q&A here, let's see, are you able to hear us? If so, you're in the right, oh, that's you, Sammy. Okay, great. Good times. Let's see what we have here. Okay, so waiting for folks to put in where they're from. But we're very glad to have you all here, and welcome to Brockport, first and foremost. I'm sure one way or another you visited on campus, whether it's virtually, which seems to be the norm these days, or at the very least been on campus before. Brockport is absolutely gorgeous. Granted, I'm biased. I get a paycheck from here. I also went to Brockport. I'm a graduate of Brockport. I majored in history and adolescent inclusive education, and my master's is also in history as well. So I'm a two-time, or soon-to-be two-time alum, and love Brockport. And I also live in the village as well. So I've been here about 10 years since I first started. And Brockport is absolutely gorgeous in the summer if you get a chance to check it out. You know, typically you'd be here, you'd be enjoying summer orientation, but we're very glad to have you in this virtual sense. Okay. Oh, we have someone from, let's see, we have Lily from Syracuse. Welcome, Lily. We also have Emma from Scotia. I'm assuming Scotia Glenville is the high school. Then we have someone from the Bronx. Wonderful. We're covering most of New York. Lindsay from Buffalo. Let's see, who else here? Some other folks will be chiming in shortly as well. Wonderful, wonderful. Well, with that, folks, feel free to still put in where you're from and odds and ends. Love to get to know you virtually here, but I'm going to start off with the presentation. So who doesn't want to talk about free money? I think I have one of the best jobs on campus. Granted, there's the admission side of the house, there's residential life, there's dining, there's working in summer orientation like Sammy and other folks, but I get to give out free money to deserving students and hopefully those of you that are attending, so you'll have some information about what's going on here at SUNY Brockport. Okay, so hopefully you can see my screen, you can see my orientation slides here. Trying to click next. Perfect. So going into scholarships and financial aid. Now, I will point out that the office that I work in, the Foundation Scholarship Office, I'm in the Division of Advancement, which is different from where the financial aid office is. So I'm not a financial aid officer, although I do work with the financial aid office and those wonderful folks over there. Scholarships is a type of financial aid. However, it's a little bit separate from the items that you see. So if you can see my screen here, we're going to give you an overview of Brockport financial aid. So granted, financial aid is a general term, it's an umbrella term. It's like swing dance. There's different types of dances. With financial aid, there's different types of aid that you can get. So the aid that you typically think of is coming from the financial aid office. That's need-based aid. That's where you or your family filled out the FAFSA. You'll hear a lot of these buzzwords or acronyms, TAP and Pell, but you filled out the FAFSA to see what aid you qualify for. And that's typically based off of your family's income, or if you're an independent, you're separated from your family and you're economically on your own, you would have filled that out for yourself. But need-based aid that comes from the federal government or state government is handled by the financial aid office, so separate from me. There's another category. There's the merit-based aid. That's based on academic criteria. That if you received a scholarship, you might recognize the terms of the Green Scholarship, the Gold Scholarship, Prometheus. Those are awarded by the admissions office, the undergraduate admissions office, as well as the Honors College. So if admissions would have given you a Green or Gold Scholarship based on your grades and test scores, or if you were accepted into the Honors College, you would receive the Prometheus Scholarship if you're an incoming freshman and living on campus. So that's the second place. And then the third place is the Foundation Scholarship. So that's my wonderful realm. And there's many different criteria for how you can qualify for scholarships. So it could be need-based, it could be merit-based, it could be a combination of the two, it could be something else, it could be depending on the county in which you come from, it depends on the major, the career path you want to go into. So there's, say, a bucket full of different criterion. So the foundation. So you might have heard of foundations in the past, these charitable organizations, whether it's at different colleges or maybe in your hometown or nationwide foundations or so. But here at Brockport, we have a specific foundation that is designed to advance the college in various realms. It could be providing great sidewalks, it could be providing new bleachers, it could be providing research grants for faculty and for students, of course, as well. And one major aspect of the foundation is providing the avenue for which we can provide scholarships for students. So all of those funds do not come from the federal government, they do not come from the state, they do not come from other areas, they come from private donors, which could be alumni, it could be faculty and staff, it could be businesses, friends of the college, someone who reads the newspaper and is really excited about what's going on here at Brockport, and they're like, hey, here's $25,000, let's support students. So it's private dollars that are donated to the college to help the college in various means. So with such, the donors recommend the criteria, they determine the award amounts, and designate the review committee on who decides it. So although I'm the scholarship coordinator, I don't make the decisions on who receives the scholarship. There are actually committees across campus and also folks in the surrounding Brockport network, whether it's here in Brockport or elsewhere. So it could be the math department determining a scholarship for students who are majoring in math, or if you're a legacy student or an alumni, or your parents or grandparents or crazy Uncle Joe or crazy Aunt Jane who were alums of Brockport, there's the alumni committee. So there's a group of alumni who sit down and decide who receive the legacy scholarships. So that's part of the aspect of the scholarships. But the donors, they are the ones who kind of dictate the criterion. They provide the funds to us and the criterion, and then we in different committees decide the scholarships. So I'm happy to let you know that at Brockport for this upcoming year, the 2020, wow, there's a lot of 20s in that, 2020-2021 academic year, we will be giving out over $500,000 to students. And we're pushing $600,000 to students. The average scholarship total for a student is about $1,000. Now, granted, it can range from $50 with the Billy Reed Public Speaking Prize, all the way up to $5,000 as part of the Joe Duty Scholarship. So there's many different criterion, or there's many different award amounts and scholarships out there. We have over 350 active funds, and many of those funds provide multiple scholarship payouts. So, for example, with the Legacy Scholarship, we provide at least six different awardees scholarships out of that fund, but it can really range. But on average, the payout is about $1,000. So we have a one-stop shop where you can learn, search, and apply for scholarships. It's called Academic Works. We're going to talk a little bit more about the ins and outs of that, but that's kind of your one-stop shop for figuring out what's going on. So in terms of who receives scholarships, it's going to be for Brockport students, obviously, first and foremost. So there's scholarships for incoming students, for current students, returning undergraduate students, and graduate students as well, because we also have graduate programs here. Granted, all of you are undergraduates. You're probably not thinking about your graduate degree yet, but there could be funding to help you through a graduate program here at Brockport. And keep in mind that, granted, you are an incoming freshman, and that's why you are, or first-time student, that's why you're going through the orientation module. However, you're getting ready for the future. As a current student, because all of the incoming awards have already been spoken for or applied to, and maybe some of you have received them, I'm not sure, because there's anonymous, and I'm not sure who's actually attending this at this point, and that's why we have the little Q&A call and response, but you're getting ready for more awards in the future, in the pros and pro tips from there. So qualifications for these scholarships. So like I mentioned, there's over there's about 350 active funds on campus, $600,000 given out. There's roughly about 470 individual recipients. So as I mentioned, the donors dictate the qualifications for each award. It's not like, okay, so everyone has a 3.0 is put in, or everyone who's from Saratoga County receives the scholarship, or from Monroe County, or what have you. Everyone's a little bit different, and that's why it really pays for you to research and do a little bit of digging ahead of time. But typically there are some patterns to the scholarship. So typically there's always some sort of a merit-based component. So based on your grades, your cumulative GPA at Brockport, because we're thinking about being a current student applying for awards. Usually there's some sort of an aspect of financial need. So with that in mind, whether you are receiving or not receiving federal or state aid, I still encourage folks to fill out the FAFSA to see what other aid you could receive from the Financial Aid Office, of course, but it could help you here when you're applying for foundation scholarships. Another area where you see a lot of information or scholarships kind of centrally locate is around academic majors or fields of study. So if you're a business student, there's roughly 20 different scholarships that you might qualify for, depending on your grades, your major, career path. Nursing, there's a large body of scholarships out there. There's a lot of scholarships for incoming and current teachers as well, coming into the education programs at the childhood or the adolescent level, or even in the physical education realm too. Another area where there's a lot of scholarships is the history department and other departments as well across the board. So some other criteria to think about, or some of the qualifications include being a first-generation student. And just as a reminder, I didn't know what a first-generation student was coming in, and I actually am a first-generation student. So I was the first one in my family to go off to college and receive a bachelor's degree. So you might be out there, you might have a similar experience. So keep an eye out for scholarships about that. Legacy we talked about, that's where your grandparents, your parents, Crazy Uncle Bob, Crazy Aunt Jane went to Brockport, so you are considered a legacy student, so look out for the alumni scholarship. Maybe you're involved in clubs on campus, maybe the ALAS group. Make sure to talk to your orientation leader about how to get involved, and granted there's the portal, but also work with the orientation leaders to see how to get involved, because there are quite a few scholarships dedicated to leadership, whether it's right here at the Brockport community, or in your home community, or just in the village or greater Rochester area, or just getting involved is key to your college education, but also could be very helpful in paying off in finding scholarships for yourself. So keep that in mind. Community involvement, service, that's very key as well. Residency, that's another criterion. Like I mentioned before, if you come from a specific county, there might be a scholarship for you. There's a scholarship in, or for students who are applying for education, if they come from Long Island, there's a preference for them. If you're coming from Saratoga County, like I mentioned before, if you live in Monroe County, or if you're a transfer student from Monroe County, if you're from Orleans County as well, if we have some local neighbors, There's some ones out there, but it's not for every single scholarship, but there are some out there that will have these criteria. But there's no one size fits all, but just keep in mind that grades are important, financial need, major, intended career path. Those are some things to help search when you go into that one-stop shop academic work scholarship portal. So keep that in mind. So the time frame, as I mentioned before, the window for you being considered an incoming student is closing shortly. You'll be coming on campus virtually or physically in the fall. We look forward to having you one way or another, but you're getting ready for the next step. So you're not applying for scholarships for this coming academic term, which is 2020-2021. You're actually going to be applying for the following year. It's similar to admissions, like you're working on your scholarship applications as a senior in high school, getting ready for the next year in your first year in college. So currently, when you get to campus virtually or otherwise, you're applying for scholarships for the following year. So you're a freshman applying for sophomore scholarships coming up. So for the 2021-2022 academic year. Every year, regardless of if you're a freshman or a senior, you apply for scholarships between November 15th and February 15th each year. The numbers change, but it's always November 15th to February 15th. So it's a 3-month window you have to apply for scholarships. So the portal opens at 12:01 a.m. on November 15th, and it closes at 11:59 on February 15th, no matter if it's Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Saturday, Sunday, anything of that nature. So you apply then. If you are fortunate enough to receive a scholarship, you will be notified beginning in early April, and it could continue up until about the end of your classes in May. So you will receive an official email from myself saying, congratulations, you received X, Y, and Z if you are fortunate enough. And then the scholarship, about 98%, will be awarded directly to your student bill. There are very, very few instances where you would receive a cash payment or a check, but for the most part, like I said, about 98%, it's a made up statistic, but it's pretty darn accurate, will be applied directly to your student bill, so the money will never be in your hands, so keep that in mind. Okay, so you're preparing now to get ready for the next step. So the next part we want to talk about is the application overview. I'm going to have Sammy talk about this in a little bit in her experience, because she was an awesome undergraduate student here, a recent graduate and now an alumna, and we'll talk about her experiences in a little bit, but they're all virtually the same. As you can see on my screen here, we have brockportscholarships.org. That is your best resource besides contacting myself via phone or email or Eagle Success. Go to brockportscholarships.org. I'll show you a kind of quick overview in a little bit here, but it provides a thorough overview of how to log in, what to expect when you're applying, and some other resources as well. So feel free to go check out brockportscholarships.org, whether it's now or in the future. That website is always up. And that's also where you go to Academic Works, the software portal to apply and search for scholarships. Like I said before, as my dad would say, I'm beating a dead horse, but remember, you need to apply between November 15th and February 15th each year, 15 to 15. Students need to sign up first and foremost, and you need to use your Brockport email to sign in with and to continue to log in each time. So it's going to be, in my case, groe1@brockport.edu, and whatever your email is, you'll be using as well. So all students, no matter what scholarship they know about or don't know about or are considering, they need to fill out the general application. This is similar to like a job application. General biographical information. It'll ask you, your current address. It'll ask, do you work on campus? How many hours a week do you work? Are you involved on campus? And there are 3 main areas built into the general application. So you'll need to submit information that you would typically see on a resume. So employment, education, academic achievements. Have you received any honors and awards? Are you part of any professional organizations like National Honor Society? Are you part of maybe a different club or organization on campus? Is it Greek Life? Is it the Swing Dance Society? Is it the History Forum? Many different clubs on campus. We also will need a professional reference to speak highly about you. Granted, no parents, no relatives. We're looking for a professional reference, even though your parents and friends are very professional, or I'm assuming they are one way or another. We will need someone who can speak to your abilities. So it could be a teacher, it could be a coach, it could be a clergy member, it could be a professor. A couple things to keep in mind. You just came to campus, or you haven't been to campus yet. So it's okay to use someone from your home area or from your high school at this point. But once you get on campus, you want to start using your Brockport network. It's very imperative, like I mentioned before, to get involved, get to know your faculty members. Granted, we're talking about scholarships, but everything that you do on campus can really benefit you, whether it comes to the financial situation or getting you ready for internships, getting you ready for the job market after you graduate from Brockport. So all of these are all tied in together. So start building that Brockport network professionally when it comes to faculty and staff, so that they can help you, in this case, with scholarships. So then write a great glowing recommendation. We also ask you to write or respond to 5 short writing prompts. Granted, I said writing. No one wants to write anything right now. You've been home, you've been sitting on your couches, you've been watching Netflix or Hulu or what have you, and you're like, I'm done with school now, but oh wait, I get ready for college. So you could consider this kind of a prep warm-up, but they're short writing prompts, and we ask only 5, not 12 or anything of that nature. And the word count is between 100 and 250 words, so it's really not that bad. In total, you're writing less than your average college essay. As a former history major, I mean, I would write quite a bit. I'm trying to think right now. At least 5 pages. In other cases, 12 pages. I remember writing a 25-page paper, within my master's. Granted, nothing like that. Just so we're clear, 100 to 250 words. So you're looking at maybe 1,000 words max. Might take you, a couple hours. Brainstorm, draft, and then plug and chug into the system. So you may be spending a little bit of time, but it's going to financially pay off for you, or hopefully that's the plan. So that's a general application. All students have to fill out the general application. One of the great benefits of such is you get automatically matched for scholarships, maybe some that you've already researched and looked through in the portal, and some you may have never considered or even knew about. So that's a nice feature about the system, is you apply in one position and you get auto matched to many awards. Granted, you don't get matched to every single award. In some cases, maybe from some to many, you need to take an additional step, which is maybe you have to write a little bit further for a specific award, or you have to provide another reference or answer a question as simple as, yes, I want to be a representative for the School of Business and Management. It could be something that simple. So keep in mind that you will be auto-matched to some. In other cases, you will have to apply specifically to them. So that means you'll have to search and go for it, and search and then take additional steps. But the nice part is once you finish the general application, based on what you put in the application and your grades, that gets pulled in from our banner system, or the software system, you will be recommended to look for scholarships. So there'll be like a little list, like, oh, you're from Saratoga County, make sure you apply for the Katie Scholarship. You indicated that your mother was an alum of Brockport, make sure you apply for the Alumni Scholarship, and etc. But don't rely on the recommended opportunities or the auto-match feature. Like I said, make sure you research, look through the system, and we're going to talk a little bit about searching for those scholarships as well. So this is Academic Works. This is the front page. I just realized I need to update this because we have a new logo. We formerly were the College of Brockport, and now we are SUNY Brockport. We've always been SUNY Brockport, but a little bit of branding, change things up a little bit. But this is the landing page for Academic Works right here. There's a couple ways to search. You have, you can search in the search bar, kind of like Google, but a little bit different. You could type in leadership, you could type in math, type in history, type in social work, whatever your major happens to be, and search by that way. Or you can go by filters, where I'll show you in a second here once I get out of here. You can search by incoming awards, by major, and other areas as well, based on attributes that fit to you. But whatever you do, I always encourage folks to go ahead, research, and look at the scholarships ahead of time. And for folks who've never been in the system before, you will need to sign up first. set up your account, and then every time afterward, you'll need to sign in. So I'll just show you quickly here what I mean by searching. Let me pull in Academic Works. So in this case, I'm going to show you Brockport scholarships.org. And we'll let me know if I'm not doing this right or you can't see it. But okay, here's the screen. This is the landing site. This is where you get to learn more about scholarships, Brockport Foundation scholarships. You'll get to see the timeline. You can see it on the left navigation bar, or you can go down to the bottom. So this is where you go straight to Academic Works. You view the list of scholarships and apply, or learn more about what's going on with Brockport here. So here's the just quickly the time frame for scholarships coming up, how it is dispersed, which I talked about. It goes directly to your student bill, and in the very slim case, you get a check. The other part is logging into your scholarship portal. Here's a thorough overview of how to log into Academic Works, depending on if you're a returning student, if you're currently enrolled, if you haven't applied before, or in your case as an incoming accepted student who's deposited. So keep that in mind. And then the application overview. So some more information that I already mentioned, but in a much more thorough area. But if you're ready, let's check out Academic Works. So I wanted to show you quickly, see, here's our new logo, woo, City of Brockport. And then here's the two search features, so the filters and by keyword. So let's just type in math. Say we had some math majors out there. Here's the keyword search. Okay, here's the Charles Baden Scholarship. So this year we gave out a scholarship that was $1,350 per student. Here's another scholarship, the Bailey Scholarship. Depending if you're selected, you get $4,000 for that scholarship. Now, it's not an end-all be-all with the search by keyword. Like, say this is, I typed in math, and then I look down here and I look at the Gladys Queen Future Teacher Award. Granted, you could be majoring in math, but this is for a future teacher, so you could be a math teacher. So when you put in the key terms, make sure that it's succinct and that you realize that it's not perfect. Like with Google, you got to know exactly how to work the system and put in the right words. But keep in mind that there's a lot of different opportunities out there for students. So let's search by keyword, and here's the filters bar. So I mentioned filters, but the term that's used here in the software is scopes. So there's many different qualifications, and this will change and be updated, which I do every year. You can look by your school, which you might not know what school you're in yet, but there are 3 schools at Brockport. There's Arts and Sciences, there's Business and Management, which Sammy was a part of, and there's Education, Health, and Human Services. You can look for STEM opportunities. As I mentioned before, you could look by major, so if you're nursing, political science, modern languages, if you're going to go into Spanish or French, kinesiology, that's for your phys ed and all you athletic folks out there, which I was not. Like I said, it's history. I was in the library, not working out, but there's a lot of opportunities out there for you. Yeah, history. Woo, let's just check out history. Let's be nostalgic for a second. Oops, that's a little awkward. Might have been a glitch in this. Oh, because I still have math in here. Sorry about that. Right, so there are some history-based scholarships and other scholarships based in here. So you got filters and you have search by keyword. So keep that in mind. Okay, and as a reminder too, as I'm talking along, now's a good time for you to submit any questions into the question and answer section. I still have a few more slides to go, but if you have any questions or things you want me to touch upon, just let me know and put it in the question mark, and Sammy will help me out with that. So getting back on track, going back to the scholarship portal. So we talked about how to search, we talked about the general overview, we talked about some of the criterion that's out there, but here's some general tips for scholarships, and I would say use this set of tips in all aspects of life, whether it's writing a scholarship essay or writing a history paper or nursing paper or what happens to be, or your job application at some point. So be proactive in research. You really want to get to know what opportunities are available out there. So search the scholarship listing like I just showed you, create a resume. If you haven't created a resume yet, you can work with our career services folks on campus, virtually or in person. They can help you out from there. Granted, you don't have to submit a resume per se for the scholarship portal, but aspects of the resume will need to be copied and pasted into the system. So if you already have a resume, it gets you that much farther ahead for scholarships and internships. Make sure you read the eligibility requirements. So in theory, you can apply for just about any scholarship that you can apply to, but if you're not a theater major, do not apply for theater scholarships. So if you're a history major, don't apply for theater majors, because theater majors are only eligible for certain scholarships, so the theater-based ones. So it's imperative that you read the eligibility requirements. So with that, same with your job application, make sure you cross your T's, dot your I's, and make sure you put in the correct information or apply yourself in the appropriate areas. So follow the direction, that's very key. Proofread. There are many professors who are, actually most of the selection committees are based on, consisting of professors that teach here on campus, or they might be older alums or so, and they are extremely keen on seeing perfect, granted, everyone's perfect, I was not perfect in writing and odds and ends, but you really want to put your best foot forward in your application, because really that's your application. You don't get an interview for these scholarships. You are presenting yourself professionally through your application, similar for jobs and such. So make sure that you proofread and everything is as pristine as possible. Like I said, you have professors and older alums or older folks looking at it, so you really want to make sure that it's right. For recommendations, granted, we're currently in a pandemic, so it might be hard to ask someone in person, but it's worth giving them a call, sending them an email, maybe do an old letter. Yes, the post office is still out there. You can send folks a letter like, hey, would you, or in this case, send them a thank you note for being a reference, but make sure you contact your reference. No reference, being someone who works in a professional setting with students and also colleagues, no one wants to receive something out of left field about, hey, would you provide a testimonial about X, Y, and Z candidate? And they're like, I haven't talked to that person in 3 years. I'm not sure why this is happening, but happy to help as much as possible. In some cases, recommenders will not provide a reference unless you talk to them ahead of time. And it's also just good etiquette and a great way to build your network by going through the process of saying, dear such and such, would you be a positive reference for me when I apply for scholarships and possibly internship opportunities and jobs in the future? That little politeness really goes a long way. And in the words of my dad again, you really want to grease the skids and make it easy for the person to brag about you. So if you can provide them that resume we talked about, or some sort of an activity sheet or some sort of supporting resources, give that to them so they can even brag more about you. Granted, they might have known you all throughout high school. Maybe you went to a really small school where your social studies teacher was teaching you for at least 2, if not 3 years. Make it easy for them. Maybe they know your parents, maybe they know everybody, but give them a resume so it's just copy and paste and easy peasy to brag about you. Make sure you let them know when the deadlines are, when the application takes place. And I forgot to mention this, you are not collecting the reference. You are putting a name and an email of your reference into the system, and then the system will send them an email. So you don't actually get to see the reference. So it's confidential, so that the reference can provide information about you. So make sure you let them know and to remind them to check their email about receiving an email from SUNY Brockport or scholarships at brockport.edu regarding yourself. And follow up with them, let them know like, hey, thank you very much for writing that letter of recommendation. Just wanted to give you a heads up that the deadline's coming up in a couple weeks, so please submit that. And if you need anything else, follow up with me. Again, no family, no peers. We probably have the recommendation in general, but we need professional folks, like I mentioned before, and it's highly recommended Brockport. But since you're incoming students, it's okay to bank on your employer from back home. Maybe you worked at Lickety Splits, the ice cream shop, or Pizza Hut, or more. Granted, we would prefer someone who can speak to your academic abilities as well as character and work ethic. So it's more ideal to have someone from an educational-based setting, but that doesn't mean you can't have someone who's your Pizza Hut supervisor or clergy member or coach or something of that nature. So, but education-based ones are highly recommended. As I mentioned before, November 15th, February 15th. If you have a busy semester, you can apply during break. So when you're home, or maybe you're home the whole time, but in between the semesters, between say December and end of January, you can apply during that downtime. Maybe you're working or doing some other things, maybe taking winter courses, but you can apply during break if it's busy between that time frame. Use calendar reminders, sticky notes about when to start, when to complete, the milestones in between. And keep in mind that to be considered for scholarships in your sophomore, junior, senior year, you need to reapply each year. So get in the habit of applying during this time frame and also reapplying each year. The nice part is, in many respects, the system saves your information, so you can just update items and make it even better the next time you go around. So you can save time and effort moving forward. And fun fact, or bonus fact, you don't have to sit down and apply to all these scholarships in one setting. You can save and come back. It's a great feature. So if life gets in the way, papers coming up or a finals coming up, you can save, come back, and finish it during break or whenever it happens to be. But just as long as you finish it by midnight, February 15th. No one wants to spend those last-minute Valentine's Day plans, wasting it on scholarships. Either you're staying home, you're relaxing, maybe with your significant other or so, but you want to be focusing on that aspect rather than the scholarship. So make sure that you are applying well in advance, working with your recommenders, and making sure you proofread everything, and maybe using our tutoring center on campus to review your application and your writing prompts. So keep that in mind. So some final thoughts. I've been talking long enough, and I can't wait to see your questions here. So if you haven't yet, make sure to put in the questions. Does it sound easy? I'm hoping what I've communicated to you and through the slideshow that it sounds easy. It is easy. You might be spending 1 to 2 hours each year. So for 4 years, getting a bachelor's degree at Brockport, you're spending between 4 and 8 hours, and you could be getting thousands of dollars and saving time and money, so you don't have to be paying interest rates in the future on student loans or what have you. So spend some time now and really focus on trying to defray the costs of college, and also getting those honors, being recognized as an awesome person in the business school or the political science department or nursing. So granted, it's the financial aspect, but it's also the honor of receiving a scholarship as well. Granted, you are not guaranteed to receive a scholarship when you apply. It's kind of like the lottery. You got to play to win. If you don't play, you don't win, but you also are not guaranteed to win the lottery every time that you play. But don't get discouraged if you don't receive a scholarship, but you're welcome to work with me, work with some other resources on campus to make sure that you have a great application to put your best foot forward. But really, do your homework, research, and take this on as a professional goal to, like I said, defray the costs and also to receive that wonderful honor. So I'm going to turn it over to Sammy real quick. Because Sammy, I had the pleasure of supervising and working with, because she was an awesome student leader on campus, and now she gets a little bit more of a paycheck and she's getting ready for graduate school, kicking off here in actually a couple weeks. And Sammy was a student in the School of Business, and she received a couple different awards. And if Sammy could share her wonderful story about the application process and also how the scholarships helped her get to where she is today. I turn it over to Sammy.
Hello, everyone. So my name is Sammy. So for me, Going through the application process, I waited to the window of the beginning of spring semester. So I applied during January, just because the semester was just getting started. My classes were just beginning. The coursework was kind of slow. So I hopped in there and started applying my junior year of undergrad. And through that, as Gary was saying, I filtered through and doing the general questions and submitting all of those responses, it helped me figure out some things I should look forward and look towards. So during my undergraduate years, I was very involved in extracurricular things. So I was involved in a lot of different departments. I was an orientation leader. I was a resident assistant. I worked as a student liaison. So I worked a lot throughout campus. So because of that, it pulled up a lot of leadership scholarships. And these were for rising seniors or juniors who were very active in their undergraduate years, working on campus in various roles. So because of that, I applied to one that was called the John R. Halstead Award. And actually, Dr. Halstead is a former president of SUNY Brockport. So I applied to that one because it was geared towards a student that was very active on campus and also wanted to pursue a career in higher education. So by that point, I knew I wanted to pursue a career in higher education. So this award was just kind of right in my ball field. So I applied to that one, and that is the one I ended up getting, which was great. And through that, I was able to receive some money that really helped me my senior year, really helped the financial burden. And then I also was able to connect with Dr. Halstead. This was something that he does every year, and there's a different person that wins it every year. And through that, I was able to connect with him. And still, it's been a year out since I've gotten the award, and I still connect with him. Been a great mentor, great person to talk to, and I will actually be completing my master's in the fall over at Rhode Island, Garrett had mentioned, and Dr. Halstead has already pointed me towards some people that he already knows in Rhode Island. So this was a great connection and great networking opportunity through this award, which was awesome. So that was something big that I got, but also through applying and just putting in my major, which was business administration, some work I had done in the business department. Through that, I was able to filter it out, and I was also awarded a business scholarship just because of my work, what I had studied. So through that, I didn't even have to apply to this one. Doing all the questions kind of filtered me through. But the other one, the Dr. Halstead Award that I did get, I had to do a supplemental essay, and that was just basically expanding on my resume. So it was kind of I forgot how many the min and max of words, but they were just kind of like expand on the extracurricular activities you've done, your passions, what you want to do, your experience in higher ed, kind of that. So it was very easy to kind of expand on the work I'd had done, I would have continued to do. So it was a very easy essay that I'd submit in conjunction to my scholarship application that was separate. So my application process was really, really easy, really seamless. And I was lucky to be awarded those 2 scholarships. And yeah, I've gotten a great experience through that, really helped me financially, and I've also made a great connection with someone that I will be using in the field. So I really recommend this for students that are beginning, because there's a lot of different awards, but I also say, if you know the career that you're going towards, there's a lot of different opportunities for people that are in the field already and want to donate to those students that are almost there and are beginning. So that's just my my spiel. Yeah.
Well, thanks, Sammy. Yeah, I mean, a lot of great information there. Sammy was one of our all-stars here, and I think she mentioned, or maybe I'll add to it, but I mean, she didn't get every scholarship that she applied for, but she received some great honors because of all the great work that she did. She really had a great work ethic and really applied herself and networked. And there's like so many benefits that came out of the scholarship program, which granted you think about the money, but also the networking, the getting ready for the next step. So you're the best, Sammy. We're so glad to have you here, and we're really excited for where you go next. So woo! So at this point, there's some FAQs that we have. But Sammy, what do we have on the docket here? What are we gonna burning questions from our wonderful scholarship folks?
Currently, we have no questions that anyone has submitted, but you are free to send anything in. But no, we're looking like there's no questions from the crowd right now.
Not sure if that's a good sign or a bad sign. Maybe everyone's asleep because I was talking, or maybe it was really thorough, or I mumbled. I don't know.
You answered all their questions for them.
Oh, we gotta do a couple shout outs. We have someone from Johnstown, New York, and someone from Indian River High School. So welcome, glad to have you folks as well. So I'm going to stall for time as well. So just a couple FAQs. Can they see that, Sammy? My screen again? They can see my screen, right, Sam?
Yep, they can see your screen.
Okay, great. Sorry, I'm getting used to this, guys. History major, getting used to technology. But you know, a couple frequently asked questions that parents and students have for me. Can scholarships be applied for this fall or spring? Like I mentioned before, you're applying for the following year, so that you're not receiving it for this coming fall, fall 20 or spring 2021, but for the following upcoming year for your sophomore year. Another question that a lot of folks will ask, how many scholarships can I receive and how much is typically awarded? Well, technically you can receive more than one scholarship every year. I've known a couple folks who've received multiple scholarships. Granted, at Brockport, we try to spread the wealth to many deserving students because we have a lot of great qualified students. So you could receive more than one. And as I mentioned before, the average payout is about $1,000 a year, or excuse me, $1,000 per scholarship. So you can really, you know, save some funds. Another thing to keep in mind, like, don't bank on scholarships just in case. Like I mentioned, it's a competitive process. Other students are compared against other students in trying to find the best fit for the award. So I wouldn't bank on receiving a scholarship to pay for your entire student bill, but it's a great opportunity to defray the costs. Another frequently asked question is, can I receive a foundation scholarship as well as an extraordinary academic scholarship? We talked a little bit about this earlier, green, gold, Prometheus scholarships. Now, granted, you cannot stack the green scholarship and the gold scholarship with Prometheus or with one another, but you can receive a foundation scholarship and a green scholarship, or a foundation scholarship with Prometheus or with gold, or something to that item. I kind of covered this earlier, but you can, about 90% will receive the scholarship on your student bill. There's a very slight chance you might get a check only if you're a graduating senior. That's really the only time that you receive a check. And some people ask, well, what happens? Do all scholarships get awarded? Do some go unawarded? There's a myth out there that unawarded scholarships exist, and you know, if you just call the scholarship guy, he'll give you a free scholarship. It's not necessarily true. Between myself and also the scholarship review committees, we work very, very hard to make sure that we find recipients for awards. There might be an off chance that no one is qualified for the award, and then I work with the donors to say, like, hey, we really don't have students that really meet this qualification where they, you know, jump on one leg, scratch their stomach, and also basket weave at the same time. But we do work very, very hard, and we receive many applications each year. Like this year, we received a little over 2,000 applications for the scholarships. But keep that in mind. Okay, so we have about 350 scholarships and say about 470 different individuals who receive a scholarship. And then you have 1,200 applications. So if you look at it in a big sense, you have a 1 in 3 odds of receiving a scholarship. Now, granted, each scholarship is a little bit different. You might have 200 applicants for one, or you might have 500 applicants for another scholarship. But in general, you have 1 in 3 odds of receiving a scholarship. And again, it's not guaranteed, but you have a good opportunity to possibly receive a scholarship. And we already talked about reapplying each year. So yeah, so there's some frequently asked questions. One thing to keep in mind too, you might not have any questions now, or you're really getting excited for tomorrow because Greyhound is coming out on Apple TV and you want to see Tom Hanks in another great role. Maybe you're thinking about other things, getting ready for dinner or something, but you can contact me. This isn't the only time that you get to interact with me. I pop in on academic planning seminars, your first year experience seminar. I come into many different classes on campus, virtually this year it looks like. But you can email me at scholarships@brockport.edu. I'm the, you know, if you ask anyone on campus for, hey, I want to talk to the scholarship guy, you know, they know it's me, they can give you my contact info, but take a photo with your phone, scholarship@brockport.edu, or you can call me 5105 right here at Brockport. But also, if you haven't heard about it yet, but we have a software. I mean, there's so many different softwares on our campus, but Eagle Success is a great one for you to get to know. And you can set up an appointment with me There'll be a virtual appointment coming up in the fall during office hours. But you can meet with me one-on-one, whether it's like this, Microsoft Teams, or via phone, and we can go over reviewing your materials, giving you more tips, answering questions. But yeah, so keep that in mind. So that's my story at this point. But if you have any more questions.
Yeah, so nothing has come in through the Q&A. However, those folks that are still here, please use the link just to give us some feedback on your experience doing this live session. However, we could stay until 6 and wait if any questions pop up, if that's all right with you, Garrett.
Sounds great. I won't tell any jokes. I was told not to tell any jokes.
Yeah.
You got it. Let's see. But yeah, one thing I just want to reinforce too, granted this is like a professional thing to take on and serious, but also, have fun with it. Think about the long-term effects that come from it, but also you have a lot of support. It may seem daunting, and it's like, well, why would I apply for something that I know I can't get, or I don't think I can get because, I'm competing against all these other wonderful students. It's a great opportunity to grow and learn, but also, like I said, you have resources. Myself, the Student Learning Center, we can help you get where you need to go. And you're part of the Golden Eagle family now. Even Sammy, she's still part of the family. She's an older family member now because she's an alumna. Or do you go by alumni, Sammy?
Whichever works.
Gotcha. Latin, good times. But you're part of the family. Whether you're just coming in, whether you're a parent, you're kind of on the periphery, but you're helping out. But you're really part of the family one way or another. So we're really glad to have you here at Brockport, whether virtually, physically, one way or another. It'll be physically in the future, and you can always stop by my office when things get back to normal, one way or another. Can't wait to have you. And I was also told not to sing. I'll make sure to stay away from that. Bust out some old rock and roll tunes. Sammy's favorite. Nope.
You know it.
Whew. Yikes. And Sammy, thanks so much for providing your testimonial about your journey at Brockport and all the great work that you're doing with orientation. So you're awesome. Keep it up.
Of course. Anything I can do to give back to the students, sign me up.
Whoop, whoop. She's already giving back. Look at her go. She
Look
got
at me.
a scholarship.
I graduated like what, a month ago?
Wow. Really? Only a month ago?
I know.
Good times. Going off to Rhode Island for your master's. Woo!
Oh, we have a question that's populating.
Yes. I feel like
this question says, can you get scholarships through internships?
Good question. Really good question there. Caveat, I'm not an internship specialist, but I did internships on campus here. We do have scholarships that help out with summer research and something of that nature, which is a little bit different from internships, but depending on your undergraduate research project in the summer or in other cases, you could. In the dance department, we do have specific internship or experience-based funds through the Susan Collier, and there's like 3 or 4 other ones, and other departments have some as well, so that is an option. Typically, you wouldn't apply through Academic Works. That would be something through your individual department where they could give you a fund. But if you have questions about when you get to that point, I'm more than happy to point you in the right direction and have you do the other application process. But we do have some support. But basically, what I presented on today is based to give you. Oh wait, hold on a second. Let me back that up. Yes, the presentation I just provided is mostly like scholarships that go towards your student bill or just get the honor. There are some based in the departments, but if you're planning on studying abroad in a different country, granted, right now you can't because for obvious reasons, but Brockport has one of the largest study abroad programs in the Northeast that covers all 7 continents. And we have multiple opportunities for you to go overseas, whether it's just a cultural experience or if you are doing an internship, say in Dublin, Ireland, which a friend of mine did She did an accounting internship in Ireland. She received a scholarship for it. So yes, there are some out there, mainly revolving around study abroad or summer research-based ones, but there are funds out there. Yeah, good question. Bonus points for whoever that was.
We also have another question that talks about, can you send the direct link to the Excelsior Scholarship?
Okay, we can do that. I do want to talk real briefly. I will point out the Excelsior Scholarship is not a foundation scholarship. The Excelsior Scholarship is through New York State. It's a wonderful opportunity for folks who are going to SUNY or CUNY schools. You have to first fill out the FAFSA and the TAP application, and then fill out the specific Excelsior Scholarship application. All right, let me see if I can pull it up here. MIS Excelsior, everyone loves Google. Let's see, let me make sure you get the right one here. You can see my screen, right? Yeah.
Yep, we can see everything.
I'm like screen conscious or something like that. But here is the overview for the scholarship program. And then this is where you will apply as well. So I'm going to put this in the Q&A so everyone has a chance to look at it. So there's, as you can see with the eligibility, there's a lot of fine print, but I think it's a great opportunity for folks who read this over, apply for it. You can decide not to get it in the future, but it's a great opportunity for students to consider to help defray the costs of your education here at this SUNY institution. So keep that in mind. Great. Any other questions, or should I keep rambling?
No, but we are 6 o'clock, so we're going to, any other last points you want to make?
Again, hopefully this was useful for you folks. If you weren't paying attention or you fell asleep because I was droning on, go to brockportscholarships.org. You can call me, you can email me, do the Eagle Success. There's a lot of ways to get in touch with me. So make sure you use your resources. I'm more than happy to help you. And again, welcome to SUNY Brockport, and we look forward to seeing you soon.
All right, thank you, everyone. Again, there's a link just to complete a form, just to let us know about your experience. But thank you so much. Have a nice night.
Bye.